The story itself in Surah 18 is actually about Alexander the Great. He's called the Zulqarnain, or the two-horned one. As you can see in this depiction of him, you can see one of his horns. There would have been one on each side of his head. So the story in Surah 18 actually copies this 6th to 7th century Syriac Christian apocalyptic work about Alexander the Great.
Okay, so first off, just because you found a coin with Alexander the Great with having a horn on the side of his head doesn't mean that that's what the Quran is saying. The Quran nowhere, nor in any hadith of the Prophet, peace be upon him, ever say that Zulqarnain Alexander the Great. In fact, the great scholars of Islam have been very explicit. Shaykh Islam Ibn Taymiyyah in his works, Ibn Kathir in his classic book called Bidayah wa Nihaya, they have made it very explicitly clear that Zulqarnain is not Alexander the Great. In fact, they were refuting Christian misconceptions, and you're quoting a Christian myth, not the Quran. Muslim scholars have made it clear, I'm putting the quotes here, that Alexander the Great, according to Muslim tradition, is not Zulqarnain. In fact, Alexander the Great is only from 323 BC to 336 BC. Azraqi, the Islamic scholar, mentions that Ibrahim alayhi salam is the one that brought Zulqarnain to Islam. Zulqarnain was a pious man, a scholar, possibly a prophet, or at least a friend of Allah, who became Muslim at the hands of Ibrahim and made Hajj with him, not 300 years before Jesus. Islamic scholars have explicitly said this is not true. You're quoting Christian misconceptions, and that's your problem, not the Quran's.